Spider-Man Homecoming did so many things right. For a movie being made by two studios who haven't always seen eye to eye, being written by 6 screenwriters, mixed with the fact that they only had 3 days to put together a story pitch, it is shockingly good, and probably in my personal top 3 MCU movies. But I'm not here to just talk about how great it is. Instead, I want to talk about how this film, more so than any other comic book movie out there, is structured and presented just like a volume in a comic series. It's split up into 6 fairly distinct parts, has other superheroes showing up, and makes frequent but not intrusive references to the rest of the cinematic universe it's a part of. That's the gist, but let me elaborate on all of that. By the way, spoilers ahead for Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm Christian Pearson, and you're watching Superhero Studies. If you go pick up any volume of Spider-Man, or any other character really, it's split up into individual comics that came out likely once a month. If we're looking at Marvel, there are usually around 6 issues in a volume. 6 mini-stories tied into one larger story, which itself is usually part of an even bigger story. That second layer up is already a part of every Marvel movie. All of them are individual stories in the grander scheme of the MCU, which is building up to the big battle against Thanos in Avengers 3 and 4. But the next level down is what really interests me about Spider-Man Homecoming. The movie feels split up into issues, as if it's 6 episodes of a TV show more so than a movie. Every section follows a pattern that you often find in superhero comic issues: drama, action, intrigue. Meaning there's a scene of story and character development setting up an action scene, which will be followed by something intriguing to ensure readers come back for the next issue. And, of course, if it's well written, there will be a good amount of drama built into the action so that it's compelling and not just superpowers bashing each other because it looks cool. For Homecoming, our first issue would be the breezy opening where we get the well-executed Vulture setup, as well as Peter's current superhero status and school life. It also sets up where he is emotionally. He wants to be doing more, he wants to be an Avenger. The action in this part is more street level and a bit mundane. It's action, but action that shows us what Peter's not so epic day-to-day heroing looks like. Like a good first issue of a comic volume, it gives us something, but also leaves us wanting more interesting threats for the hero to face. The first issue would likely cut out with this. The intrigue. Issue 2 would cover Peter and Ned talking about Peter's powers, them going to the party, and the van chase, followed by Spider-Man's first encounter with the Vulture. As is common practice, the hero is very underprepared for his first encounter with the villain, so the scene sets up Vulture as a significant adversary. Plus, the following scene further sets up Peter's goal to be like the Avengers when Tony shows up to save him and tells him to back off. This, and Peter finding the Chitauri tech that Shocker dropped in the van chase, would be the intrigue. I don't feel like I really need to go totally in depth on each issue for you to get my point. It would go something like this. Issue 3 would be the DC trip, Issue 4 would be the ferry incident, Issue 5 would be the twist and Peter being buried under rubble, and Issue 6, final fight and Peter being offered a place on the Avengers. In this one, as in many final comics of a volume, the action comes first and the drama second, serving as the falling action and resolution of the whole story arc. Falling action and resolution being terms for the final stages of a plot in a conventional 3-act structure story. Now, you could likely make this argument for a bunch of other superhero movies, and even non-superhero movies, because I'm basically just talking about pacing and storytelling. But the fact that there are 6 pretty distinct sections of action, drama, intrigue isn't that common in most films. But another thing that makes this movie so comic booky is Iron Man. What I mean is, he's not there as Peter's partner or mentor for the entire film, he just pops in and out. This isn't a common thing in superhero movies yet. If you're having an actor play a hero other than the main character in your movie, you're either just getting a cameo, or they're getting a lot of screen time. Having another hero just pop in and out is such a comic book thing to do. Just look at how many times a hero will pop up for just one issue of another character's series. It's meant to draw fans of one character into reading another series. which is one of the main reasons Robert Downey Jr. was in this movie, to bring fans of Iron Man's movies and the Avengers movies. And Iron Man's presence leads me into how ingrained Homecoming felt in the Marvel Universe. The contrast between it and something like Doctor Strange is huge. Besides a couple passing Avengers references and the post-credit scene, Strange could have been set in a totally different universe and we wouldn't have even known. Spider-Man, from the very first shot, is dug deeply into the world that it exists in, like you'd find with most Marvel and DC comics. A constant struggle for comic book writers is rooting their stories in a massive universe with decades of backstory to appease longtime fans, while making the story comprehensive enough on its own for new readers to be able to jump in without having to read the vast history of the fictional world. Spider-Man Homecoming felt like its writers were dealing with this exact struggle, and I'd say they greatly succeeded. You could still have a great time watching Homecoming, not having seen any of the other Avengers movies. Though, admittedly, it is a bit more fun to watch if you've seen all the other MCU films. Now, Homecoming's ability to adapt to the comic book format isn't necessarily a great or terrible thing. It's just a thing, and it impressed me. The film had so much crammed into it without feeling anywhere near bloated. Now I feel like I can tell my non-comic reading friends, hey, this is what it's like to read a comic. It's an interesting story structure, and one that I think is particularly good for a modern generation of people shifting toward TV and away from movies. But hey, do you agree with my analysis of Spider-Man Homecoming's structure? Let me know in the comments below. Also, hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notified when I release more nerdy rambles in the future. I've been Christian Pearson, and you've been watching Superhero Studies.